Hello, this is Professor Sultanat Liebert at VCU. Today's topic is understanding the program and logic models. For an evaluator, it is important to understand the ins and outs of the program they're about to evaluate. Fully understanding the program enables the evaluator to ask the right questions. Once the data for the evaluation are collected, knowing the program will help the evaluator interpret the findings accurately. Understanding the program well allows an evaluator to offer specific recommendations on improving the program and to write a more constructive and insightful report based on the findings of the evaluation. And finally, a valuable contribution that an evaluator can make to advance our knowledge base is to write a detailed enough report so that it can be used in meta-analysis. Meta-analyses are important because they analyze findings from multiple studies on a specific issue to come up with conclusive evidence about effectiveness of specific interventions to address social problems. Describing the program in detail is important for an evaluation because others might want to replicate the program if it is found to be effective. The program description in the evaluation report needs to be detailed and specific enough so that others who want to replicate it have almost like a recipe with all key program ingredients listed and explained. So program description should have not only a full account of the resources and inputs, but also describe the implementation process. How would the evaluator go about fully understanding a program he or she is about to evaluate? Evaluators are typically generalists. So if you, as an evaluator, are not a subject matter expert in the type of a program you were asked to evaluate, a good starting point is reading about the field. So if the program is designed to help individuals quit smoking, you would read about smoking cessation. Reading evaluations of similar programs is also informative. You could talk to practitioners of similar programs to understand their experiences and lessons learned from implementing other programs. Conducting interviews with program participants, staff, managers, and other stakeholders is key to understanding the program, especially when it comes to aspects of the program that are not written up in mission statements and other formal documents. In many funding organizations, in-house evaluators are based in departments called monitoring and evaluation departments. The professionals working there are usually called monitoring and evaluation specialists. So what is monitoring? It is usually less formal than a full evaluation, and it aims to find out whether the program is reaching its target population, whether the program is being implemented according to the original program design, and whether the funds are spent appropriately. In order to properly evaluate a program, an evaluator needs to understand program goals. This is not always straightforward because different stakeholders might have different goals for the same program. In other situations, goals are too ambitious, making it hard to evaluate a program. The next few slides in this lecture will address the topic of program theory and logic models. Program theory is a set of expectations on which the program is based. Program theory is based on past programs and evidence-based literature on the subject. Using the example of the reading intervention I mentioned in earlier lectures, we know from prior research and past programs what helps the elementary school-age kids to improve their reading skills. So our hypothesis would then be that one-on-one tutoring, age-appropriate and engaging books, and parental support at home will result in improved reading skills in elementary school-aged children. A program's theory of change presumes that if the program is designed well and is implemented properly, it will achieve the desired outcome. Implementation theory assumes that if activities planned in program design are carried out as envisioned, they will result in the desired outcome as well. A logic model is a summary of program theory and is a diagram that shows how program designers expect to get from resources to positive outcomes. Logic models typically have 4 to 5 key elements. These include program inputs, program activities, outputs, interim outcomes, and program impact. When we build a logic model, we often use a reverse process. We start spelling out the desired impact and then move backwards to the interim outcomes that you expect to see, which would indicate that the program is on the right track. Then spell out the outputs, activities required to produce those outputs, and then calculate what kind of resources you would need to fully implement the necessary activities. What is the difference between outputs and outcomes? Outputs measure the type and quantity of services delivered to program participants. We can also refer to outputs as deliverables. Outcomes tell us how effective the deliverables were. When building program theory, it is not necessary to find a single theory that explains how we get to desired outcomes. You can have multiple expectations about different aspects of a program. In building program theory, an evaluator needs to involve multiple stakeholders, especially those involved in program design. This slide shows you an example of a logic model. In this logic model, inputs and program activities are combined. The goal of this program was to promote early intervention in children to improve their oral health. The inputs included workshops to educate the children about proper brushing and flossing and distribution of oral health packages. The program outcomes include survey responses where students reported that they are more confident about their brushing and flossing techniques and that they brush and floss more frequently than before the workshop. There are several steps in building a logic model. The first step is to collect information about the program. The second step is to define the problem and its context. In this stage, we would analyze the problem and come up with theories of change. In the next step, we define the elements of the logic model, such as resources, program activities, outputs, outcomes, and long-term impact. These elements are typically inserted into a table. The next step is drawing a logic model if you choose to use a diagram. Alternatively, you could leave the logic model in the form of a table that you drafted in the previous step. And the final step is to discuss the model with the stakeholders to ensure that it's accurate. When you're building a logic model, typically you would go through several revisions to arrive at the final product that satisfies all the stakeholders and that accurately reflects the program goals and the inputs needed to achieve those goals. This is the end of the lecture on understanding the program and building a logic model. Thank you for watching and take care.